And let's get the party started. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Leanne Vogel. I'm a holistic nutritionist and high-fat enthusiast behind the site healthfulpursuit.com, and I help women regulate their hormones and balance their metabolisms, generally be awesome by eating more fat. And today is a Q&A every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm on Periscope, which is who I'm talking to over here, and Facebook Live, which is who I'm talking to over here, and I'm going to try to figure out YouTube Live so we can have 3 things going at once. So we are here to answer all of the questions. Thank you so much for joining in. We have one question coming in from Eileen on Facebook. What can you do on a plateau? So for those of you who don't know what keto is, it's a low-carb, high-fat eating style, and a lot of people use this to lose weight. There are 2 things that I like to do in a plateau. Now, this information is new. I've been doing a lot of research on plateaus. There are 2 things on keto. The first is you could try a carb up, which you guys are quite familiar. I have talked about carb ups in the past. Or a new thing is that you could try increasing your protein. So switch out some of your fat with protein. More of this is going to be in my upcoming book. I'll have more information about my cookbook that's coming out quite sometime. So I'll have more information in the next month about that. But for now, you could try increasing your protein. And I have actually a resource post, which is a compilation of a ton of things coming out next Wednesday on this very thing. So watch for it. That will be Wednesday, the 20th of July, 2016. So watch for that. There was a question that just came in on Periscope, and that was high fat. What is that? So I'll just briefly go over what we're talking about here. Keto is a high fat, low carb eating style. So what we're doing is we're eating lots of fats, and these are healthful fats like coconut oil and avocado oil and some animal fats that are grass-fed, grass-finished. And this encourages our body to switch metabolic processes, so we are now burning fat as fuel instead of carbohydrates as fuel. So that's kind of a brief overview of what we are talking about. Is keto good for anti-cancer diet, or what would you recommend? There's been actually a lot of literature lately on keto and cancer. So I encourage you to jump online, go to type this into the Google machine, ketogenic cancer diet study, or even just ketogenic cancer study, and you'll find a lot of things. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's D'Angelo, I believe. He's been doing a lot of stuff. Thomas Seyfried. He's been doing a lot of stuff as well on cancer, and basically the basics of it is that cancer cells run on sugar, and without sugar they can't survive. So starve the sugar and kill the cancer. Yes, that's it. Dominic D'Agostino. That. Thank you very much. I merged his first and last names together. Clearly, it's early. So definitely check out that. When my dad had cancer, I didn't know about keto, but that would have been super helpful. And here I was giving him all the smoothies and carbs. But he made it. We're good. So thank goodness. He had leukemia, if anyone's wondering. But okay, so let's cut over to one of the questions that came in on my Facebook group. They were quite long ones, so I wanted to answer them on here. The first question is, my hair started falling out of the crown of my head today, coinciding with the terrible stomach pains that started last week, which I am now attributing to a gallbladder. I realized today that I haven't been very hungry and that I probably haven't been eating enough calories, so I'm trying to get more in. But now, after going keto, I've discovered a few food sensitivities, dairy, gluten, pepper, nuts, that are making it hard to get anything substantial in, even though I started eating carbs again to try to combat the gallbladder issue, coupled with the fact that I can't eat fat without extreme pain, and I'm legit worried I'm starving myself, to the words of wisdom. Okay, so I'm scared. Okay, gallbladder. That was you! Okay, awesome. So let me know if there's something that I have missed out of your question. I didn't write down your name, so I'm really sorry about that. Gallbladder. Okay, so you mentioned that you went to a nutritionist, all of the things. I would highly recommend that you get an ox bile supplement. Okay? Like, Deanna, go get an ox bile supplement. Maybe a really good enzyme with ox bile in it might work, but you might have to go straight up ox bile. I have one just started this week. Awesome. Perfect. As for the, you're reacting to pepper. Now, I'm guessing that's bell pepper. Your allergies, like if you're reacting to bell pepper, I would look at all nightshades, and this is totally not a problem. All peppers. Okay, yeah. So take a look at tomatoes, eggplants, see how that works and see how you react to that. I know that my sensitivity for nightshades are that I display acne, and they're like little bumps like here and here. So definitely check that out. I'm scared. Let's see. Okay, now let's talk about the hair loss. You increased carbs, so that's awesome. I would say that it sounds like there's a lot of things going on here, and what can happen, and where I would go first is because you know that your gallbladder is feeling a little bit wonky. I would look at that first, because what can happen is if we are not, if we're eating keto and we have a problem with our gallbladder originally, and we're not soaking up all of the nutrients because the fats we're eating aren't helping with that, and our body can't break those down. That's probably where a lot of the issues are coming from, and that could be why you're losing your hair, is because I'm guessing your gallbladder was kaput before you started keto, and when you started eating more fat, your gallbladder was like, wait a second, lady, we can't do this. So you may want to first address your gallbladder, like you said, get a really good, I did have issues with it years ago. Okay, so yeah, you're eating more fat and your gallbladder's like, wait a minute, lady. So definitely keep up with the ox bile. You could also try apple cider vinegar before your meals just to help with overall digestibility. And I would say if after a month, working with a doctor and doing what they recommend as well, if nothing has improved, then you can look at like thyroid and stuff like that because you're losing hair. But I have a feeling it has more to do with your gallbladder, and I would address that before I move on to, say, something else. So I hope that was helpful. Let's go over to, okay, April. That's what I'm doing, keto because of cancer. Oh, awesome, April. Yeah, you rock that. What kind of fats do you recommend, Kelly? Okay, fat choices. So if you can do, I close my eyes a lot when I think. If you can do nuts and seeds, awesome. Your lower carb nuts and seeds are going to be things like hemp seed, flax seed, chia seed, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. They're a little bit higher in carbs, so just like don't overdo it. And then your nuts are going to be things like almonds and macadamia nuts, walnuts, Brazil nuts are pretty good and also high in selenium-ish, so can be supportive of your thyroid. I wouldn't do peanuts because they're legumes and they have a lot of fungal things on them and not very awesome. Coconut is actually a fruit, but a lot of people consider it a nut, so I'll put it in this bucket. What else? Macadamia nuts, hazelnuts are pretty good. Cashews are pretty high in carbs, so just watch for that. So that's nuts and seeds. Fats, I'm just going to go through my pantry. Tallow, which is beef tallow, which is beef fat. Grass-fed always. Lard, pasture-raised. Duck fat, pasture-raised. You can get these from Epic. I'll include a link up here if you're watching the replay on YouTube to my favorite fats with that. And then avocado oil, coconut oil, avocados, any meats that are high fat that are grass-fed and finished. What else? Did I forget anything? Cacao butter, chocolate. I love the cacao butter from Wild Foods. I'll also include a link because that stuff is like unbelievable. Yeah. So those are the keto fats. Let me know if I forgot something. I just went through everything really quick. Can you mention something about starting keto and if we should be looking at overall carbs or net? Okay, so starting keto comes in a couple of stages. The first one is if you're not already gluten-free and dairy-free. Now, my approach is dairy-free. You don't have to go dairy-free. I just find that it increases inflammation and doesn't make me feel too great, so I avoid it. And I find it increases inflammation for a lot of people and can stop them from even getting into ketosis because of that inflammation. So when it comes to adjusting to the keto lifestyle, if you're not, like I would say if you're not already paleo, try going paleo first, start off with that. I do have a couple of meal plans on that. If you go to healthfulpursuit.com and go to the shop page, there are some real meal plans, and those are more like paleo, so it's nice as a transitionary period. And then if you're wanting to go straight up keto and you can do that jump, then I would start off by just setting the intention of eating low carb, high fat, and looking at some resources online. I also have a meal plan for that. I'll actually bring it up because it can be super helpful when you're adjusting, and I actually have a coupon code for everyone interested. So I'll flip it around so you can see it, and you can take screenshots. It's healthfulpursuit.com/balanced keto, and you can use the coupon code periscope, all in caps, no spaces, for 10% off your order. I can't really lift it up because is that better? Okay, so you can take a screenshot, and that can help you not have to count, not have to worry about anything. All the meal plans are there. So it's healthfulpursuit.com/balanced keto and 10% off when you use the coupon code periscope. So you can count. I personally like to count total carbs. And also paying attention to how much fiber I'm eating. Okay, so there was a question about going off steroids. Oh man. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'll just brief you on this. I went on Cortef, which is a steroid, and I didn't know it. I don't know what happened. Anyways, the doctor prescribed it to me. I trust him. He's helped me a lot with a lot of things. So I started taking it, and then I was having a lot of nasal issues, and I went to another doctor, and we went through the supplements that I was taking. And I mentioned I was taking Cortef. He told me it was a steroid. I was like, what the heck? I'd been taking it for almost a year. And so I was on 20 milligrams. I started slowly taking it down. So I started with 20 milligrams a day. Then I went to 15 milligrams every other day. So it was 20, 15, 20, 15. Then it was 15, 10, 15, 10. And then 10, 5, 10, 5. And then 5, 0, 5, 0. And this is like over months. So every month I would lower it by 5 and alternate the days. And now I'm on 0, 5, 0, 5. And I went 3 days without taking it, and I didn't feel so good, so I went back to the 0505, and next week I'm going to try 5005, 005, so those are how many milligrams I'm taking every day. So it's been a journey, but yeah, that was kind of my strategy of slowly going off, and I started taking this because my adrenals were totally kaput. And since I've been, writing a book and running a business and hiring people, it depends on how stressful I am. But I highly encourage you, if you do have adrenal dysfunction, try to solve it without going on steroids, because it can be a slippery slope, that's for sure. My weight hasn't changed, I don't think, because of it. Actually, maybe when I was going off Cortef and slowly reducing it, my weight probably has gone up, and that's kind of like during the stressful period, and I made that video, which I'll include if you're watching this on the replay in the corners. Otherwise, you can find it on the blog. It's a couple of videos ago, Why You're Not Losing Weight on Keto, and you can take a look at that. So the next question that came in from our Facebook group was cellulite. Somebody was asking on Facebook about cellulite. Let me look. There's so many comments. Julie, cellulite. Okay, so cellulite is actually quite a natural process that our bodies go into, more so with women than men. And okay, so there's a couple of conversations about cellulite. The first is that it's totally natural and normal, and don't worry about it. I find that personally, when I was going through hormone replacement therapy and taking fake estrogen that wasn't bioidentical, that was a total nightmare, I got a lot of cellulite. How I got rid of that cellulite, like straight down, hands down, how I reduced it massively was with my infrared sauna. I haven't tried a fascia blaster or anything like that. I wanted to go more of like a natural route, something that would also help me like relax. So I have a pocket sauna from Sauna Space. I believe if you use the coupon code HEALTHFUL, all in caps, you get 5% off. I'll include a Sauna Space detail in the corners if you're watching this on the replay. Otherwise, you can just go to saunaspace.com, I believe, and check out their saunas. They are, most of them are under $1,000. So you can just like build your own little tent thing. And when I go in the sauna, I literally put my, like, I stand up in the sauna and have the infrared like penetrate my legs, which is where I had the cellulite. So things like making sure that you're drinking enough water, that's super important for cellulite and can help with that as well. IR then fascia blast works best. Okay, awesome. So Mary says the infrared sauna and fascia blast works well. I've never heard of fascia blast. Definitely worth a Google to see what it is. Yeah, so what's your optimal blood glucose score after meals? Mine is ranging 86 to 90. Pretty good. I've been keto adapted for 3 months. Yep, that's pretty good. Yeah. Oops. Okay, there we go. It really depends on the person. I like to be under 100. Usually I'm about like, now I'm converting it in my head because I don't use these numbers. I use metric, but I think it's like around 70 to 80. That's kind of, but if it gets below 55, then your glucagon is stimulated your glucagon stimulates gluconeogenesis to create glucose. So I like to stay above the 55 milligrams per deciliter because at that point, your gluconeogenesis can be stimulated and also cortisol can be stimulated if the glucagon isn't working properly and stimulating your gluconeogenesis, which is the creation of glucose when you don't eat carbohydrates. Sudden sour stomach with a rocket fuel latte. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what a rocket fuel latte is, it is a fat-filled drink that you drink in the morning. It has lots of carbs, lots of carbs. No, it does not have a lot of carbs. It has a lot of fat with a minimal amount of carbohydrates and protein to help balance out our leptin, ghrelin levels so that we can maintain fasting throughout the morning. So sour stomach, if you could talk a little bit more about what a sour stomach is, like what you experience. If you're feeling a little stomach upset, you drank it way too fast. If you're nauseous, it could be a gallbladder. So I would reduce the amount of fat to like 1 or 2 tablespoons of fat total. And if you have a previous history of gallbladder imbalance, make sure that you're having ox bile because your body just can't store the bile that it's creating, which helps break down the fat. Maybe add a pinch of baking soda to your rocket fuel latte. I've never heard that. If you give it a try, let me know. Okay, so next question. I'm curious about you being back on hormone replacement therapy. I've been on it for a long time, tried going off of it, and now on bioidentical hormones consistently for a year, and things are great. But I thought HRT didn't work for you, and you didn't recommend it, and eating low-carb, high-fat balanced your hormones. Okay, so I think that there was just a miscommunication with this question because I'm not on hormone replacement therapy. I think in a previous video I said, like probably in my weight loss video, I may have said like, I'm on hormones, but it's not hormone replacement therapy. I will never, ever, 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 ever go back on HRT ever. I'm on a couple of bioidentical hormones. Those, Cortef is considered a bioidentical hormone. So I'm trying to get off of that, and we talked about that before. And I am taking a low dose of DHEA, and I'm trying to use that instead of the Cortef. And then I take thyroid, desiccated thyroid, when I need it, which is like every other day. I just see how I feel. Why no HRT? I totally believe in bioidentical hormones. I think they're great. I think when they're needed, they're awesome. But hormone replacement therapy totally screwed me up. And I feel like, okay, so I saw over, I think it was like 14 doctors, and they were all clueless, and they'd put me on estrogen, progesterone, all these things, and then they would test me every 3 months and not watch what was happening to my hormones or care. And I was getting these artificial periods that weren't actually correct because it was my adrenals. It was my adrenals and my thyroid that was causing the issue with no period. I had amenorrhea for 8 years. It was those pieces, not my sex hormones. So they just put me on these, and I think there are a lot of doctors, endocrinologists, specialists who are just like, yeah, you're in your early 20s, you're in your 20s, let's just put you on estrogen, progesterone, or let's do the progesterone test. They don't actually, I was not dominant in any of the hormones. I was completely nothing. Like, my testosterone was tested, and it was literally like under, like they couldn't even see what the testosterone was. I was diagnosed to be in menopause at the age of 24. So I said, screw this. And when I went keto, that is how I got my hormones back. And I started the hormone stuff just recently, just because the renovations that we did on our house were actually horrible for me. And so I had a major adrenal crash, a total adjustment of my entire body. So that's why I started doing a little bit of the bioidenticals. But I personally, I'm very passionate about this. I really urge people that are on HRT to find a natural doctor and speak with them about bioidentical hormones and switching things over. Okay, yeah, so that's my rant on HRT. Any other questions? Okay, allergy meds, can they take us out of keto? Yes, all medications can take you out of keto if you're not looking at what they are. So definitely take a look at the ingredients and see what are in them. You can chat with a pharmacist. They have like a big book, and they can look at what all the ingredients are, and you can go through them, and they'll know what words mean sugar. And definitely look at that. So chat with your pharmacist about those things. Okay. Okay, we talked about Cortef already. And then, okay, there was a question about Vital Proteins collagen and type 2 collagen. Okay, so this is awesome. So Vital Proteins makes 2 different types of collagen, one that you guys are familiar with, and that is the collagen peptides, which we add to all of the drinks. And then there's type 2 collagen, which is, I would say, like more of a serious collagen. Like it is really serious business. It's a lot more stronger. It is a lot stronger than the regular collagen. I take both, but it's not overkill. So if you are curious about Vital Proteins, you can go to vitalproteins.com, and if you decide to order it, you can use the coupon code VPHP10 for 10% off your order. Yeah, there was a question about collagen, but I just missed it. What was it? I saw it. Yep, it's gone. So, best way to heal adrenals. Okay, sorry, let's go back to coupon code. Does it do free shipping to Canada? Not free shipping to Canada. You get 10% for Canadians and everyone else. And then you Americans, US-based peoples, they get the 10% off plus free shipping. How to take it. Thank you very much. Okay, so collagen, how to take collagen. I add it to my Rocket Fuel Latte. I've been starting to do this thing called keto milkshakes. So if you follow me on Snapchat, Leanne Vogel, then you can get the recipe, and it's also on Instagram, Healthful Pursuit. I did a keto milkshake and just took a picture of the recipe. We're going to talk quickly about adrenals and how to heal adrenals. And then I won't keep you any longer because it's already been 30 minutes. It's crazy. Okay, so how to balance your adrenals naturally, cortisol and all of that. So first off, How do you know if you're low in cortisol and that your adrenals need some love? You can go off signs and symptoms, or you can get tested. You guys know how much I love getting tested, and then you know like what the deal is. So to get tested, you just go to your doctor, ask for a cortisol AM test. You're looking for your number to be around 550. You can do saliva, but I've seen some really wonky things. Like I've had clients go for blood tests and then do saliva tests the exact same, like within 30 minutes they go and do the saliva test as well, and the numbers are like momentously different. So I understand that cortisol, it goes up, down throughout the day, but this is like, it was drastically different. So I personally like to go off blood, but depending on where you're at is how you want to do that. If you don't want to test, or you don't, you know, it's kind of expensive, so if you don't want to do that, you can go off how you feel. If you're having a hard time getting started in the morning, you're tired and wired at night, you're having a hard time with that, with energy, and even just like a feeling of happiness and feeling uplifted. If you're having problems with your sex hormones, that could also be your adrenals, because your DHEA plays a role in your adrenals. So say you know that you are adrenal impaired and you need some loving for your adrenals. Now, if you are just a little bit impaired and dysfunctional, I love saying impaired and dysfunctional with your adrenals. If they need some love, it depends what stage you're in. When I was going through the renos and I was massively dysfunctionized, no amount of natural supplements could help this lady. And it was a really, really horrible time. You'll notice that all my videos kind of like were batch made at that point because I was like a hot mess. And so if you get to that point, you probably need to chat with a doctor about your options. But if you are not at that point, the first things is like stop working out, because no amount of working out is going to help you build muscle anyway, because when your cortisol is all wonky, it's not going to help you build muscle. And quickly, the coupon code for Vital Proteins was VPHP10. Somebody was wondering on Facebook. So stop working out. Make sure that you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you are keto, I would stop intermittent fasting until you get a handle on things, because intermittent fasting can slow down the process of gluconeogenesis, which is the creation of glucose, when your body doesn't have any, and that can supply your brain and things like that. But when that cortisol is being stimulated because you're fasting or you're not eating enough protein, then that can kind of like throw off the whole thing. So I would make sure that you're eating breakfast, lunch, dinner. I would have carb ups every night. So that goes to the daily fat burner, fat fueled profile in my program, Fat Fueled. If you're watching this on the replay, I will include a link up here. And if you're not, and you're live with me right now, you can go to healthfulpursuit.com/fat fueled to grab that program, and that talks all about the fat fueled profiles. So those would be the first things I would do. Depending on what stage you're in, I wouldn't do mushrooms or ashwagandha if you're like super messed up with your adrenals, because that can actually make it worse. But if you're just lightly messed up, then the mushrooms and cordyceps and things, Four Sigmatic Foods is really good for those products. Those can help your adrenals as well as ashwagandha. And then it's really about nourishing your body and just like be very sloth-like, like really, really, really like calm it down, be really nourishing, start up a self-care practice, maybe download my podcast with Amber, listen to some of those, chill out. You know what, that's interesting. There's a question about maca and adrenals. I'm not sure on that. I know that maca can be helpful for your sex hormones. I know that maca helped me get from 32 days of a period down to 30. Like, it's the only thing I've changed over the couple of months for my hormones. And now it's like every 30 days I get a period. It's awesome. And I find when I don't eat enough fat, like if I go a month and I'm not as focused on fat, it takes longer for my period to come. Pretty crazy. Yeah, so I hope that was helpful on the adrenal dysfunction stuff. We've actually done a couple of podcasts on adrenals, so if you want to find that, just go to healthfulpursuit.com/podcast, or you can just search on the blog healthfulpursuit.com for, oh man, the Facebook thing, for adrenals. Just type in adrenals on healthfulpursuit.com. So there we go. We did it. Another Q&A. I'll be back next Thursday. I know that there's so many questions coming in, guys. I don't want to keep you forever and ever. So keep your questions for next week. I will be back next Thursday, same time, same place. And if you miss it, you can go to healthfulpursuit.com/live and get all of the replays. I will be live every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Thanks so much for sharing. You guys can actually still share this recording with all your pals. If you found value in this, please share it. I appreciate everyone that joined in on Facebook Live, all you guys over here in Periscope. I really appreciate it. And I will be back next week.